Good Monday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here, and let's wake up the football gods on this hangover Monday. And do I mean hangover Monday? Oh, boy. Wow. You know, the NFL has sold us on this being the biggest season ever, because technically it is. We have 17 games for each one of these teams, 18 weeks. The Super Bowl will go deeper into February. It is the biggest season. But I don't remember so many primetime games that have been going down to the wire. Kansas City and Baltimore last night, down to the wire. Lamar Jackson finally gets his win over Kansas City. Our Cowboys season opener against Tampa Bay. You know, the Cowboys were in a game that everybody thought they were going to get blown out. Even the Washington football team versus the Giants, to have that, you know, field goal miss and then the offsides and the field goal, that even went down the wire. And the Raiders versus Baltimore, the Raiders sneaking a victory. It's been crazy that you literally just cannot miss games. Wow. My voice is still half gone from yesterday. Most people out there thought the Cowboys would start the season 0-2. But, with the defense, that is going to be the same old Dallas Cowboys defense. They suck. They stink. They can't do anything better. And for us to lose both of our defensive ends, to go on the road for the second week in a row, and for the Dallas Cowboys to be number one, let me say this, number one in probably the biggest statistic out there. We gave up a lot of yards. We gave up quite a bit of points, although we've only averaged giving up 24 points a game. Now, that still seems high, but when you think of two offensive teams, especially possibly the best offensive team in football, who put up 48 points yesterday against the Atlanta Falcons, 48, and then playing against the Chargers with Justin Herbert, who, that brother, that mother humper the way he's hitting the football. To go on the road against those two teams and average 24 points is pretty good. When you consider that this time last year, we were averaging 36.3. We are a dozen points less than we were last year. But more importantly, the Dallas Cowboys lead the NFL in takeaways. 6 takeaways in 2 games. Let me say that one more time. 6 mother-humping takeaways a game. Turnovers are game changers. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. A turnover can be a 14-point swing. As we know, team could be about to score a touchdown. You get a takeaway in the end zone. You go down and score. That's a 14-point swing that you made from one play. Now, I'm going to go back to a video that I probably played in nauseum, and some of y'all will say, yeah, whatever. Because when I played it, y'all were like, this guy, you mean the coach that got fired in Atlanta, and the Atlanta Falcon fans that are coming around and been trolling us and talking about how bad Dan Quinn is? Well, I tell you what, he has turned that defense around, because last year, to put this in perspective, we were so bad at taking the football away last year. How bad were we? The NFL record low for taking the football away is 7 in the season by the San Francisco 49ers. We were on pace the first half of the season to beat that. The fact that we got 6 in the first 2 games is attributed to being fast and physical. Let's take a listen to Dan Quinn in his own words.
We knew whatever conditions were going to come up tonight, we really, one of the main things we want to do was let's play at our style. And we did that tonight. That was one of the things going in all year long. We're fast, we're physical, and we have real style about how we play. I thought that came out tonight.
Coach,
I certainly hope so. Couldn't be more proud to be part of that unit that plays, with an aggressive style. We talked about out-hitting people in terms of how we want to affect the quarterback and even checking the ball down, the way we want to tackle. We wanted to win with fundamentals, and our guys work really hard in that fashion. It's something that our coaching staff and the players, we talk tackling, we talk turnovers really every day that we practice, and that's what came tonight.
what did you do?
Well, we certainly have so much respect for their offense the way they did. So I was not surprised that we played well. We've had terrific weeks of practice and preparation. So going into it, we were healthy and really felt like we were going to play fast and physical. We prepared for no huddle for 2 weeks. And to give those group of guys 2 weeks to prepare, the coaches and those players, I think we're going to like the results.
What did you tell your players after the game, Coach?
Really just how proud I was to be part of the unit, and the thing that I was most impressed about is that we really played in a style and fashion that we're accustomed to. We're fast, we're physical, we played this game on our terms, and that was one of the things we went into the game saying, and for us to go and play it in that way, and have it come true in that way, it was awesome.
Where do the Seahawks rank the all-time greatest defenses?
I'll let you guys decide that. I couldn't be more fired up to be part of our unit and the attitude and the way that we play, so I'll leave that to you guys. Coach Carroll has been he's been huge for my career. I think just how to feature the players, and let's find what a player can do well, and let's accent that. And that would be one of the many things that he's taught me.
What did that first front? Did you anticipate it would be that one-sided, like almost dominating their offense?
I don't know about that, but I certainly know our guys know how to rush, and that was one of the things we knew when you face a quarterback like him, you better be able to affect him. We didn't talk about sacks or hits. We talked about can we get him off the spot. And we knew in certain coverages there was going to be times when he got the ball out and under 2.2, 2.3, which is hard for a rusher. We know sometimes it can be, if it's at 2.6 or 2.7, that's when you can get the hit. So we knew they'd have to deal with us, in terms of, I was fired up for Clem and what he was able to do, and Cliff and Michael have been doing that for a while. So it was just another example of how, we have a really deep front, and some games you have to play real hard ball. It's going to be a running team, and then there's games like tonight where it's going to be more featured pass rush.
What did that Peyton Manning several times audibled into a run. It looked like Bobby Wagner was nodding. He came back and made a signal. Did you guys know any of the calls and the signals?
We did not. In fact, some of our calls, we just wanted to have some fun, and we made up some calls just so we'd be able to do some too.
Okay, everything you need to know about the Cowboys defense and that they're doing was all right there in that interview. It's about finding what guys can do well, and because of their depth, that they can throw different things at them. But basically, depending on the situation, sometimes we got to rush a lot, like we did against Peyton Manning. Other times we got to deal with the run. And it's about finding guys who can do what you're looking for. That multi-tool piece. When DeMarcus Lawrence immediately went down, my first thought was, you got to use Micah Parsons as defensive end outside linebacker. You have got to use him to get pressure on the quarterback. And that is one of those people that you looked at. You could see in training camp how they moved him around all over the field to see where is his true strength at. I said going into this that when you think of, say, a game changer who really revolutionized football of a Lawrence Taylor, immediately the trolls, he ain't no Lawrence Taylor. Well, I got to tell you, as a guy who didn't play football last year, he sat out because of COVID, who's only a rookie in his second game to get a sack and 4 pressures, playing in a position that he hadn't played before, that's Lawrence Taylor-esque. That's Lawrence Taylor-esque. The thing about Micah Parsons, just listening to this right here, Dan Quinn immediately went to him when DeMarcus Lawrence went down and said, we're going to try you defensive end. And Micah Parsons, okay, you got it. This is a quote from Micah Parsons. Just as a competitor, I hate coming off. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, why am I coming off? I just warmed up. I said something to the coach like, next week, I'm going to have to do some linebacker, or when I'm not there, let me go get a rush. I just want to do it all. I'm just embracing everything they're throwing at me, because the more I can get on the field, the more I can play. And I feel like the more I can help this team win. Micah Parsons. That, my friends, is hunger. That is desire. That is not being satisfied with what you've done. That, my friends, is a rare commodity right there. And to put him out there and literally to say, I'll do anything you want me to do to stay on this field, makes you have to say, oh, my God, we got a baller. We made the right pick. Not only with him, because it's not only about getting a good player, it's also about getting the coach who can develop and use those skill sets. Too many times in this past regimen that we had of coaches, it drove me crazy, because Jason Garrett would say things in the press conference like, it's not the way we do things around here. They were so rigid with, we are a running team, you're a tight end, and you must be a blocking tight end, instead of looking and saying, I got a guy who is a little different than what I normally want, but he's got a certain set of skills that maybe I can use in different packages. Because the thing that's crazy is Micah Parsons plays less snaps yesterday than he did the week before. And what Dan Quinn has done, what Dan Quinn has done is he's taking Van Der Esch and Jaylon Smith, who had 16 and 15 snaps the week before, and Jaylon Smith had, I think, 51. And Jaylon Smith, I haven't seen too many articles about Jaylon Smith, but Jaylon Smith, who's reduced snap counts from last year and putting in better positions to succeed, played pretty good yesterday. When he was tackling, he wasn't getting carried for 2 or 3 yards. He wasn't out of position, because we have a coach who understands, here's what you do and here's what your limitations. And I'm not going to put you in a position where you're not there to succeed. Mike Nolan never did that. And so you can see already that this defense is becoming opportunistic. Does it have oh, hell yes. Anthony Brown is a liability out there right now. I'm sorry, Anthony. I want you to succeed. We have to come up with a better plan there on the corner. If it's Nahshon Wrights or Boss Man Fat, or if we maybe even have to look at making a trade for somebody, that's the weak link. Now, the good thing is we have more bodies that are going to be coming back over the course of the next few weeks and further. You're going to get Neville Gallimore, who, arguably was one of the better defensive linemen. He's already working on getting off of IR. He's going to come back. You have to think that Randy Gregory, the typical time of being off from COVID has been like 10 days, that he should be coming back from COVID this week. You got those 2 guys that are coming back, and Donovan Wilson. Donovan Wilson didn't play. We were shorthanded. But you can look at this from the standpoint of, this is where Jerry Jones and crew have actually changed what they were doing. Too many times the Cowboys have gone through and they hired somebody from within and carried the same philosophy with what they're doing. You had Monty Kiffin. They just took him into broom closet and let him just disappear into the ether. And you elevated Rod Martinelli. Don't get me wrong. Rod Martinelli was one of the best defensive line coaches out there. But I'm not sure he was the greatest of defensive coordinators. He did really good. He dialed it up. He made guys that were nobodies into somebodies, and they got paid. But it was still the same philosophy up in there. When we brought in Chris Richard, he wasn't given enough latitude to install what he wanted to do. It was still Rod Marinelli's defense he was calling. This time, you kind of cleared the slate, except for Leon Lett, and not only brought in a guy, you didn't say, okay, you got the job, now this is what you're going to do. It seems like, and I could be 100% wrong on this, but it seems like Dan Quinn was given the controls and the keys to do what he wanted to do and to implement what he wanted to do to try and succeed. You can look at the type of players that he went for. It's very Seattle-esque. I'm not saying that the Cowboys are Seattle yet, but, hey, when that Seattle defense was best, they were number one in taking away the football, number one in yards, number one in points. Well, we're there in one category. We're there in one category, and we're moving on up on the other ones. I'm not going to say that this team is going to be the number one defense by the end of the year, but when you consider we played Tampa Bay and the Chargers, two very good offensive teams, I'm not sure I fear the Cowboys giving up that many points to, say, the Giants or the Eagles or Washington. That's 6 games that all of a sudden, garbage time, lack of yards, I could say. If we want to talk about garbage time, those are going to be games where the team is offensively challenged. It's not to say that they won't do well, but when you look at it and say, who are you going to do better against? Tampa Bay's offense or Washington's? Tampa Bay's offense or the Giants? Tampa Bay's offense or the Eagles? You kind of have to look at it and say, your defense is going to shine against those guys in comparison. So, for once, the defense is really beginning to get their stride. And they have more reinforcements coming back because middle of the season, you also get DeMarcus Lawrence. And what this is going to enable you to do, one, getting Micah Parsons to be able to play defensive end. I don't know that they're going to want him to play defensive end all the time. But getting a guy like Malik Hooker out there playing safety, you got Donovan Wilson. What you're going to be able to do and what you're establishing now is guys that can be a rotation. You can send a wave in and not worry about them getting beat. And you send in another wave after that. And what you're doing is you're wearing out the opposition. That offensive line, they're out there every play. You're playing half the snaps. You're not going to be as tired. And come late in the game, it's going to pay dividends. So Cowboys, got to give you credit. The defense is much improved. Congratulations on so far being number one at taking the football away. We're going to have a lot to talk about today. We're going to be looking at some of the individual players. Jaylon Smith, the return of the man. The Predator, Jaylon Smith, who was left as roadkill, played a really great game. Van Der Esch, another one. Your linebackers played great yesterday. And guys who we signed on the cheap as free agents, the Keanu Neals, that are paying dividend right now on this team. And that hasn't even touched the surface of Tony Pollard or Terrence Steele. The Cowboys, for once, have some depth. And with that being said, you know what time it is.
Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is, how about this, Cowboys?
Where's the asking?